Hello and welcome back to this episode of Tipsy Wednesday, presented from the Penthouse Bar. With us, as usual, Björn
Hello.
and me. But is it me or is it Junior? Who am I?
I think
I'm wearing this mask so you can't really tell who I am.
I think it is you.
It is me, not Junior.
Yeah, that is correct.
What
a surprise.
what's up with the mask? Well,
Actually, I
like
don't
you're
know.
some-
I just found it in my daughter's room when she left for her mother's.
like you
oh,
just
well,
finished
oh,
you disguised for some bad porno or something.
Yeah. It's Spider-Man, the XXX version.
Oh man.
Oh
that's
no, he's
where
not.
you shoot your webbing.
No.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we're
We're a
one
duo
man
today.
short. We're a duo.
The dynamic
Hey.
duo.
I
No,
don't know
that
about
wasn't
that.
Spider-Man. That was Batman and Robin.
Well,
Yeah. So, Junior is
Did we-
in the land of the free in America. America.
America.
Freedom and whatnot.
Doing tourist stuff, I guess.
Yeah. I hope he posts some pictures on Instagram. I told him to do so, but he tends to ignore me.
Wow, that's gotta hurt.
Just like you have.
Oh.
We have the OnlyFans. I told you guys what I needed from you.
And we haven't posted you anything yet.
You haven't sent me anything.
No.
I even told Junior to send
I-
me the information I need before he left for America. And he said, yes, what do you need? And I said, I need this, and that. And I didn't hear back from from him.
Wow.
So
Well, it's been on my mind. I was like, yeah, fuck, I gotta do that thing. And just never done it.
yeah,
Um,
I know
I'll-
it's a hassle just to do it, but it takes like maximum 5 minutes to do it. It's like 2 pictures and a short note that you just accept the terms and you're participating willingly. As we are 3, I think I too need to write the note and sign it. But
Even despite you're the one making it.
yeah,
or
because they don't
the
know which
main-
one of us makes it and who are the partners to to put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still ongoing. I just mentioned it now because some people have asked me when is the OnlyFans up and running. Because I know people who are curious about what we're going to post and whatnot. So so yeah, we need to get our fingers out and do it.
It'll mostly be a fun gig, I think.
Yeah. And one friend of
I
mine
fucking
said,
think-
you know, if you do that, mostly men will subscribe to you, gay people and such. I'm like, I don't give a shit. If they pay me, I'm happy.
Money talks. Money
yeah,
talks.
and that was part of the thing with this project, was to see if people are willing to pay for it. So if you're straight or gay or whatever, if you like
Some
what you see and you
pictures
pay for it, it's it's the whole point, right? So
Pictures of hairy men legs.
yeah.
That's what you'll get, I guess.
There was also the part with my ass and the egg and the milk
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
beer. Yeah, so there's more, but it's a little premium.
Your ass is premium.
My ass is premium, yeah.
Wow. What a fucking diva you are. You're a
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, enough of that. Let's talk stuff.
Talk stuff. Yes, that's
Talk
what we
about-
do here.
Yeah. And it's gonna be a mix this episode, I think, from some news and funny stuff and a little bit geeky stuff. And I think we'll just start off with the geeky stuff, like my computer, for instance, because I changed my computer cabinet or
Case.
computer case
Rather.
Yep. And I needed something with a more airflow. And I found this nice, kind of cheap case, and I liked it a lot. And I built my computer. And
What
of course,
brand was it? You remember?
no,
Was it one of the big ones like NZXT or
no, just give me a
Fractal
second.
Design?
And, no, none of them. So I had a fractal. That was the one I gave away. My daughter
Ah.
have that now because she had a huge fucking high tower computer, and it was so hard to handle because underneath her computer table, it was like mounted a bit from the floor. So every time we needed to do something behind, I need to drag the whole thing forth, and it was just a hassle.
It was literally too cumbersome.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was,
yeah.
yeah.
And with the new cabinet, and I changed some fans and stuff, it was super quiet. Now I have a Montec X3, or X3 glass full tower.
I imagine if it houses your computer build, then it's and it satisfies your needs, then why the fuck would you need to pay premium for something that does a simple job in reality? It just
it's
for your computer parts to sit in. It's literally that.
Yep, and it came completed with 6 fans pre-installed with RPG lights and everything. I was like, yeah, good. I don't have to change all my my fans and stuff. I got it. I installed my computer parts, but it turned out the fans didn't use the sysfan buttons on my motherboard, so I needed another cable to connect them through the SATA to a Molex cable. And fair enough, they sold that in a store where I work, so.
So the computer fans that were included with that case were controlled by some controller that was attached to the case or something?
No, they just were these Molex attachments. You know, the 4 holes, and you just put male and female into each other.
Yeah. Okay.
I can turn on and off the lights on a button on top of my computer case, but other than that, they spin 100% all the time now. But they're quiet at the very least.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. They're more quiet now than in my old computer, where I had turned them down to like 50 and 70% maximum. So I really like the case though. But when I built it the first time around, I didn't know I needed the extra cable, because I assumed when it came pre-installed with fans that everything would be okay. Just put in
just plug and play.
Yeah, basically. So I installed my the 2 other fans in the top for the CPU cooler, the IO fan I have and stuff, or pump IO pump with 2 fans. And I just used my computer a little bit with only those attached. The one night I didn't have the cable I needed because I had to buy that the next day. And I just had my case open for more air, and I just used the like the web browser and stuff for simple stuff. And I monitored
you didn't
the heat.
game anything or something?
I just launched a game for a short while just to see the temperature. Because I had all the temperature on my screen and everything, and it was okay. So that was great. The next morning, I used my computer again, web browsing. But the new computer case was a lot taller than the other one I had. It was not as long, but taller.
Okay.
And as my computer also was mounted on a shelf underneath my table, it was like this much air from the top of the computer to the tabletop where I have the mouse and everything on. So it got super hot because all the hot air would just pump straight into my tabletop.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that isn't very sufficient. So I moved my computer off the little shelf and detached the shelf and moved the computer back on the shelf, just on the floor. Right. So I got now have like this amount of space between the computer and the tabletop for the air to vent out. And I thought, that's good. Went to watch some TV and look at the time and like, shit, I need to go to work in 10 minutes. So I just I put my headset to recharge it through the USB on the computer, because that's what I've always done. And I noticed it's not charging. And I was like, what the fuck? It's always been charging through the USB on the top of the computer. So I tried to turn on the computer and nothing happened. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Why doesn't it turn on? So I unplugged everything and opened the case and checked, and everything seemed fine. And then I turned on the power supply, and I started to hear this ticking noise. And it was quite fast ticking.
Noise of death.
Basically like a clock. It was like tick, 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 tick. And nothing happened when I pushed the power button on the computer. The fans didn't even try to start up. Nothing. And I detached.
And you had the computer on previously that day.
Yeah, I had. The only thing I did that day was to move the computer a bit to the side, to detach the shelf from the table, and just move it to the side again. And it just stopped working. And I opened everything, I detached stuff, took out the video card and memory chips and hard drives and everything, and I took away the power supply and just added power to the power supply and turned it on. No ticking in the power supply. I just added the 24-pin attachment to my computer, and the ticking started immediately. I didn't even have to try to turn on the computer. It was the second the computer got power connected to it, the ticking started. I was like, what the fuck is wrong? And I even messaged you about it, and I googled, and no one seemed to have on the entire Google the problem I was having, because all the solutions there were it's the power supply. So I was convinced it's the power supply. I need to buy a new one, and it's fucking expensive. But I went ahead and I found my old power supply, and I attached it, and immediately when I plugged in the 24-pin cable on this, the ticking started again. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, it's not the power supply, and that's good, because I don't need to buy a new power supply then. And I detached everything else, and the ticking was still there. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Because it sounded like the ticking came straight from the CPU. Or the processor or whatever. And then I thought maybe it's the I/O fan. Something is wrong with it, because it's connected straight on top of it. Are there moving parts there that are trying to tick? And I thought maybe I need to just take out the entire motherboard. Maybe there's a short circuit. Maybe something is pressing against the motherboard somewhere. A loose screw or something I haven't noticed, whatever. And as I'm about to do this, I look at the back of my computer and I notice, these USB things for wireless stuff.
Yeah.
I still had 2 of them connected, so I just thought, I just remove them. And as I do that, I notice, this little thing, the USB-C cable for my microphone.
Okay.
This cable here, which came with our microphones. When I moved the computer, it broke, because the cord wasn't long enough.
Oh, that's 2 pieces there.
Yeah, so just the USB-C part was left in, and I hadn't noticed. So I was like, what the fuck is that? And I moved it, and I was like, what the fuck, it's a cable. And then I just tried to power on the computer, and it booted up at once. So it was just because this part here, the USB-C, was plugged in to the USB-C port, but it wasn't attached to anything in the other end, so my computer just wouldn't start.
Yes, because what I think happened then, you broke off the connector, and the connector itself made a short circuit on the connector somehow, and the short circuit stayed on while that connector was plugged in. The broken piece was still plugged in.
And I didn't notice because only this much were sticking out on the back. So I was just like, what the fuck is that?
I was wondering where this would lead. It's a long fucking story of troubleshooting
so
and
much
problem
troubleshooting,
from something.
and it's just ripped off from that part because it was wasn't long
Wow,
enough.
I was
So when I just
wondering where
moved the
this was going.
computer, because I didn't attach all the cables, because I was just moving it about 30 centimeters to the left, right? Just to detach the shelf. And of course, one cable wasn't long enough, and it was the very smallest one, so the one that probably broke the easiest. Luckily, I had a new cord laying around with a more premium stuff anyway. So.
Okay, so
So I'm up and running, but
It
it
was-
took me 2 days to figure this shit out, and I was like freaking the fuck out, because I fixed the computer yesterday, and I knew I needed it up and running today because of the podcast recording and everything. And I was like, shit, do I really need to use my shitty laptop? Okay, I could attach the camera, I could use this microphone and this headset, but I wouldn't have anything I needed to edit the YouTube edition or nothing, because that is locked to my gaming computer.
like that's such an obscure error and a weird symptom from just moving your computer and then suddenly it's not turning on.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck were you supposed to know? Well, you figured it out by coincidence.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
Who would have thought?
I was just lucky that I hadn't unplugged those before, and I noticed, and I wanted to move them before taking out the motherboard, and I noticed that little tidbit that were pointing out of the board, and I decided to move it, and luckily I decided to test the computer before I detached everything again, and it worked. So I was like, what the fuck, is that the solution? Just that little piece sticking in there? That fucked me over for 2 fucking days.
Yeah, well, it sounds weird because even if there was a short circuit on one of your USB ports, or let's say something a USB headset, you plugged it into your motherboard, and for some reason that USB headset was old and literally broken, there should be a protection in your computer that is able to recognize a short circuit on a USB port and just disable it. And display an error message saying like, one of your USB ports is malfunctioning. We have disabled it. But your computer is still running. We have just disabled one of your USB ports.
Yeah, well,
But
mine
apparently
didn't. It just didn't want to start at all.
Nothing
No
worked.
messages, no anything. I was like, I didn't think my motherboard even got power. The only thing that made me notice the power board had the power was because I hadn't attached the 8-pin up in the corner, and it started blinking red, and I was like, what the fuck is this now? I thought it was another error. Luckily, it was just because I was testing and I hadn't attached it yet.
This seems like a problem like if you put your phone charger into your car and there was something wrong with that charger, then the car wouldn't start. It's like something silly like that, something super minor.
Yeah. But the computer works now. It's
yeah,
fine.
obviously.
It's good, and
Wow.
and my daughter computer works really well with my old case. She loves it as well because she now has the glass on the side, so she can look inside the computer. But she only got my old fans, which are just white light, and I have all the Pride colors in my computer
lights.
now. Pride lights, yeah, because I got 6 fans with lights, and my RAM sticks are also lighting up inside there. So
looks probably really colorful and fancy.
it is, and my side is just a door, so I can just open it, and I have access to my computer, and I can just close it again. It's just I think it's magnetic or something. When I close it, it's shut, and there's this little piece I can just open it with. And
Sounds neat.
It is, and if I need to access the computer and the glass door is in the way, I can just lift it off the pins.
It's like hinged, so you just literally lift them off, it off.
So I don't
Genius.
need all the screws and shit. So I really like this case here.
Sounds like a steal. It's
Yeah.
But contrary to your computer interest, I used to be super into computers. I still am, but my interest for computers now is like, it just needs to work.
Yeah,
It's literally just a black box in the corner. I haven't opened my PC case for months. It just sits there and it works, and I don't care how it looks like. It just needs to work. I've like gone past trying to make it look colorful and nice and really fancy. I just want it to work, and I just want to play my games on that black box.
The thing
Done.
is, my old box,
That's where I am.
it was white even, because I wanted to try something new when I bought that, but everything else is black, and then it was this white box underneath there. And it didn't have very much in terms of airflow, because it were 2 fans in the front and 2 in the top and 1 in the back, and that's about it. Now I have
Pretty standard setup.
now I have 3 in the front, 2 in top, 1 in the back, and 2 in the bottom.
Oh.
So now I have I have 8 fans in this one.
Just be mindful, though, over time, because of your improved airflow, you have to be more mindful of dust.
Yeah, it even came with on top. Is it there?
On top?
Yeah, on top of the computer, it has this extra with tiny holes in, which just lay on top
if
of
you
the...
where you have to be mindful of dust is where you pull in air. So
yeah, I know, but there is like this underneath and around, so I can move.
Okay.
So it will stop some of the dust, but yeah.
Some of the dust, most of it, I guess.
But every time I clean my house, I
Still.
also just have this not wet stuff, but
Damp cloth.
damp
maybe?
cloth, yeah, and I just drag it over, and all the dust which is there will attach to the cloth.
All right.
So I do that a couple of times a week, anyways, because I dust somewhere, and I just drag it over my computer. Air intake places at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So the old case I had for a year, 2 years about, and it was very little dust inside it. So yeah.
Well, no, too.
But yeah, that's my computer problem. Took half the episode as well to explain.
Yeah, well, you didn't have to make it that far, that long though, but it was quite. You were bothered with it for 2 days.
Yeah, it really stressed me out. Because I had the extra power supply, so I could have changed to the old one, because the difference between them wasn't that big. But then again, when I noticed it wasn't the power supply, I was like, shit, do I need a new motherboard? Because this one is...
Motherboard, CPU...
something like that, yeah, because the CPU and motherboard I have now are half a year old or something, so it would have been really stupid if some of those broke just because I moved the case a couple of inches to the left and then back to the right afterwards. But yeah, speaking of computer parts and whatnot, a new game has launched, Björn.
Yes, the highly anticipated Bethesda game. Starfield, which is... it follows the same formula of their previous games. Open world, however, it's not in ancient times like in the Elder Scrolls series where you're fighting with swords and magic. Starfield is, well, you're in space with spaceships in the future. But a common theme with Bethesda games is that they release in I wouldn't say a completely broken state, but a very subpar state of quality. And sure enough, it seems fine in some areas, but in others, it's like classic Bethesda launch problems. It's like janky things that are just like, yeah, it's a Bethesda game. What the fuck did you expect? It's not completely broken, but it's still a Bethesda game with the usual...
some bugs and still lacking some
bugs
features and stuff.
Yeah, some quirks. But it hasn't been a total flop as far as I've understood. But I haven't really paid very much attention to it. I've just kept it on my radar. It's like I've noticed it hasn't flopped. People aren't thrashing it, but it's like some people are enjoying it. Some people are like, these are the weird things with Starfield, and they show a lot of bugs in a series compilation or something. So it's a little bit of this and that.
Yeah, I saw this reporter tried out the game, and she wanted to go to another planet. It took 7 hours to fly there. She did it overnight. She had the controller thing pushed forward overnight, so the ship would just go towards the target.
What?
Yeah. I don't remember what planet she wanted to go to, because normally in the game you warp, but she just flew there. Took 7 hours to get there, in game
Really?
time. Yeah. And when she reached the planet, she could just fly, I think, straight through it. You couldn't land on it or anything. It was just a hunk of planet that was there.
It was just you couldn't actually interact
Yeah,
with it
you
or
couldn't
land.
do anything on it.
Ah.
She was bummed out. 'Cause I
Wow,
just, I
no
just
shit.
think she wanted to test because it's like endlessly big or something. So she wanted just to test like further away from the starting area probably. So she went to a different planet and nothing. And she was like, I'm glad I slept through the flight mode, because had she been sitting there for like 7 hours straight, flying straight forward, drinking a coffee, and then noticing nothing, I think she would have flipped.
Oh, but you know that's the typical Bethesda release, and
Yeah.
I'm glad I stuck with my gut feeling and didn't like jump on the hype train, because this game was hyped as fuck. But you know,
And
I'm
they
in no
said-
dire need for any new games to play at the moment. I have Baldur's Gate, and I'm still having fun with that one.
Yeah, that's probably one of the problems for Starfield as well. They came out on the back end of Baldur's Gate.
Well, you say back end, but
Yeah,
it's
not
still
back
a
end.
month later.
Mm-hmm.
But people are having so much fun with Baldur's Gate still, and that game has such a huge replay value that anything that releases this year will become in the shadow of Baldur's Gate 3. I think, just think.
Speaking of games this month, so Cyberpunk 77's huge DLC will release this month as well.
Yeah.
And it will also deliver a lot of fixes to the original base game and whatnot, so I hope this doesn't flop.
Fixes, it will pretty much revamp or
Yeah,
rebalance the whole base
the
game.
entire base game as well, yeah.
Even if you didn't purchase or don't purchase the DLC, it will pretty much improve your base game experience.
Also,
So,
funny
hooray
enough,
for that.
Throughout the original game, you are basically teamed up with Keanu Reeves throughout the game. Because let's be fair about that, the character Johnny Silverhand looks exactly like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it's Keanu Reeves.
And in the DLC, they have a character voiced by Idris Elba. And surprise, surprise, the character looks exactly like Idris Elba in the game as well. So I hope it will be really good. I won't pre-order it or anything, and I probably won't buy it on this side of Christmas even, because everything is because of the financial situation in pretty much the entire world. Everything is getting more expensive, and Christmas is 4 months away. So I think I will prioritize Christmas gifts and whatnot, and my son need new glasses, and I know that's a couple of grand right out the window. So
Yay.
so I have enough to use money on at the moment. So all the games that are coming that I want, like the Cyberpunk DLC, the new Mortal Kombat fighting game, and Tekken 8 when that comes around, all of those games will be purchased during next year. But yeah, let's move away from the geeky stuff. Let's talk about airplanes.
Airplanes?
Yeah, because there are two things I want to talk about when it comes to airplanes. The first one,
Okay.
they want to implement a quota, quota, that you can only travel like twice a year or something with airplanes, at least here in Norway, because this is Norway specific topic though, in reality. Thus far, they are talking about implementing a quota for the people. You can use the airplane twice a year because we need to save the environment and everything. And they're figuring out how do we do this, because if someone lives in one part of the country and you have family in the other part of the country and someone dies and you need to go to the funeral and you already used your 2 quotas, how will you then get to go to the funeral? So there will be some exceptions, I think, if this gets implemented. I don't think so. I just think it's the weirdo environment politicians.
Green activists.
Yeah, that are talking about this. Because they also thought that, twice a year, but if you travel really long, like the 16 hours it takes to travel from Norway to Japan, maybe that would use all your quota, like back and forth, and you won't get another trip this year. Then you have people who doesn't use airplanes, so you can buy their quota if you need more trips. So not only pay for the tickets, you have to pay someone else, like just another random person on the street you can buy the quota off of. So I don't think that would be a thing. It sounds ridiculous. Because
it's
the world is a
both
big
hard-
place, but during the last 50, 60 years, the world has become quite small in terms of internet and airplane travel compared to back in the day when you had to travel for weeks on end with boats and stuff. We won't go back to that. Because how many weeks of vacation do you get in the summer? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Some are lucky and get more weeks, but the standard, I think, in Norway is like 3 weeks of summer vacation. If I were going to America for summer vacation, summer holidays, and I needed to go by boat, I would probably use 1 week just to get to America. I would get 1 week to experience America, and then I needed 1 week just to get back to Norway by boat. Perhaps. Maybe even longer, I don't know. Compared to a plane where you can do it in 10, 12 hours or something. I don't know. So.
Yeah, literally one sitting.
Yeah.
Will be doing the continental travel.
Yeah, you leave in the morning and by the afternoon, Norway time, I would be landing in America. Which are 6 hours ahead, so... I will still be arriving in the middle of the day in America, though. And be jet lagged as fuck, perhaps.
Yep.
We should ask Junior next week. But what do you think about the quota for how many times you can use an airplane?
It's let's take the practical things first. It's hard to implement for the common man. Would you punish people? Would you, if they used up their quota and traveled excessively, would you stop people from traveling? Who would enforce this? Would it be the police that stopped you? Would it be the airliner companies? Would the airliner companies even be interested in selling less tickets? And just from a purely statistical point of view, if we, as the little country that we are, Norway, the entire Norwegian population reduced our emissions by 100%, 5 million people, that would mean so little in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I opened a chart to see how much emissions every country release, and America, China, and India, some of those countries are topping the chart. Norway
just
wasn't
because
even
of
on
population numbers.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, because the chart was like this in the top, and it just kept going down. We are like using very little emissions. So I think Norway can't save the world. We can just stay where we are and wait for all the other countries above us to reach our level before we start doing more to save the environment.
Well, or think of it this way: if the entire population's worth of, in this case, Norway, were to reduce our emissions to 0, it would have less impact from our 5 million citizens than it would be for China's 1.3 billion, that's 1,300 million people, to reduce their emissions by 1%.
Yeah.
That it's like...
Yeah, and I saw someone, a clip on TikTok from another podcast where they talked about this, emissions. And someone was like, yeah, but the country have, like, this country has like this much emissions and other countries have like this little. And then the person arguing against was like, yeah, but you can't take it the country as a whole. You have to take it like by person to person. So each person has to have less emissions or something. You have to like do the math by person
By
and
a
not by
person.
country.
By emissions per person.
Yeah, basically, because that would be the
Okay.
correct way to do it. But still, yeah, as you say, we could reduce 100% of our emissions on 5.5 million people compared to 1.3 billion people in China or 300 plus millions in America. It would mean shit. It's like fart in the wind.
Yeah, I'm not saying we shouldn't give a fuck, but you have to be aware how little it helps.
Yeah,
Keep that in mind. Just do your best, but keep in mind how little it helps in the grand scheme of things,
and the other
where
thing,
we should put our energy.
The other thing about the fly quota in Norway is that there are few alternatives, because the country is pretty long from one end to the other end, and we don't have like railways throughout the country. Like, not really. We have half the country. You can get there by train, but we don't have bullet trains or anything. We have like the old trains from the railway track were basically built by Hitler during World War II when they occupied Norway. And we haven't done anything with them. We have just maintained them. And that's about it. Okay, the trains might have been upgraded since the 40s, but still they only travel about, 40 miles per hour or something? Less than that, maybe? I don't know. 60 kilometers, I think it is.
It's not bullet train standards.
That's for sure. But if you had bullet train and you can travel like everywhere in the country, or most major cities to mid-sized cities, that would be an viable alternative to flight. Because it would it would take a little bit longer than the flight, but it would still be fast enough and probably cheaper than the airplane tickets because they are seriously expensive.
Important keynotes. It would be fast enough, as you say, and it would be way cheaper. That's two major selling points.
Yeah.
And it would probably be more convenient.
Yeah. Because now it's super expensive to travel by plane inside of Norway. I could travel a week or two to Spain and live there for 2 weeks, and the plane tickets back would still be cheaper than it's for me to pay a plane ticket from south of Norway to north of Norway.
Yep, it's...
Because inside of Norway we have taxes and taxes upon taxes for everything. So, so it just becomes super expensive. Because the state needs money.
Yeah, so they say. But, well, let's not dwell on that too much.
But speaking of airplanes, did you see the news article with the person who got diarrhea on a Delta airplane?
Yeah, you posted a few pictures. Was it on Snapchat or Messenger? From that news article.
It had to be a really long flight time, I think, because they had traveled for 2 hours and they had to turn around and go back to where they came from after this event. Because an hour in, or almost 2 hours into the flight, a person that was sick got a massive diarrhea shit. And the pictures from the airplane, they had shit on the carpet in between all the seats for a long ass way. Like, it's like they were running through the plane, just shitting all over the floor between the seats. And that's nasty. And then the pilots took the decision to go back 2 hours to where they came from, land the plane, evacuate everybody. People had to come on board and just tear off the entire mat that was in in the plane and replace it with an entire new one, because you couldn't really clean the mat after it had been sprayed shit on.
Jeez.
And imagine sitting on a plane for 2 hours with a person having diarrhea throughout the fucking plane. The smell.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had to use those masks, like the oxygen masks.
Would that even help?
I don't know, because you put them around you, strapped on, and I think you get the air from somewhere else than inside the plane.
Would that be considered an emergency, though?
I don't know how many people
If
were puking because of the smell.
Well, let's say they did start using the oxygen, the limited supply of oxygen from those just because they thought the smell was disgusting, and then they had an actual emergency of cabin pressure loss, where they actually needed oxygen. Well, sucks for you, because we used up the oxygen because we thought it was smelly in here.
Yeah, but I not to throw anyone under the bus, but I have a colleague and he doesn't like smells. And someone shat himself in the shopping mall I work at, and we could
Always nasty.
We could follow the poop stains on the floor to find the person who were having a bad day.
Oh no!
Because we needed to ask if it was an emergency, if everything was okay, and we needed to tell the cleaning personnel where to actually clean shit off the floor. And I went ahead to investigate, and I heard over the walkie-talkie, my colleague is, "I'm on my way. I'm nearly to." He didn't actually puke, but he gagged really hard when he felt the smell of the shit, and he just turned away and left, and I was left to myself to figure everything out. And there was like poop on the floor all the way throughout like in between the stores and into the toilet, on the toilet ring, and on the door, on the inside of the toilet door, because I think the person had stepped in shit and then like tried to smear it on the door from under their shoes or something while they were sitting on the toilet ring. It was nasty, and it stank like shit.
Well.
And I had to like close off the doors and everything so other people wouldn't go there. Needed to have this the police tape basically that they put up. Need to have something like that, because as a security company we have those, but it doesn't say police on them, but the same color, white, red. Closed off the area and had the washing personnel or cleaning personnel come and clean up everything. But my colleague, he can't take it. If a kid pukes in the mall and he walks past and the smell hits his nose, he will gag. So yeah, even if you have to do something that has to do with trash, like the recycling bins or something, just check if they're full. If you have to order some people to come in, like change the containers or whatever, if it smells really bad, he will gag. So one time I had to do a really nasty job, and he just stood in the other end of the room looking at me and said I did a good job while I was stepping in like these nasty ass trash bags and stuff and fixing everything.
Thanks, mate.
And he was there
for the support.
Good job. You're doing a good job.
Okay.
So yeah, but when other stuff happens, he's on top of everything when it has to do with people and whatnot. But when it comes to nasty smells, he can't handle it.
Okay.
So if someone like that were on the airplane, just sitting there gagging, and eventually puking, then you have like more stuff to clean if they don't get the oxygen masks. There's a lot of things to consider. Like, this is an emergency.
Nevertheless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder what the condition was on the person who was sick. Like, was it like something really, really bad, or did he just have a bad stomach that day?
Bad stomach, food poisoning, could be a lot of things. But mind you, I've never... I've had food poisoning once, or diarrhea
from
have
shit
food.
Out someone's house as well, so...
Yeah, well, from spicy stuff, but I mean, like from food. When we were on vacation in Thailand, we all ate something, but it was all fried and everything, but we all got the runny stuff. But it was never so bad that we couldn't control our bowels. It was just very needy for a long time. But it never got so bad that we literally shit ourselves. So I never had that.
Funny enough, though, I had some spicy meatballs and stuff for dinner last night. And I woke up in the middle of the night, really having to take a shit.
Wow, that's
Yeah, I was like, I woke up, my tummy barely hurts a bit, and I was like, shit, I know what this feeling is. Went to the toilet, and just sat down and yeah, colored the entire
nature did
toilet
its
with a new color.
thing.
It wasn't
Okay,
white after I was done.
Thank you. We
yeah.
get the picture.
But after that, it was fine. Just went back to sleep and I slept till the alarm clock went off and I went to work
Oh.
and
So it was a onesie then.
yeah, it was a onesie.
All right, good for you.
Yeah. Because I love a bit of spicy food, but my tummy just doesn't like it at all. Every time I eat something a bit too spicy, I have the shits.
I can relate.
At least once.
Yeah.
But this doesn't need to be super spicy either. It's just if it's just a lot of spices used on the food.
Oh,
my belly will rebel, even though it's really good, and I don't notice it immediately or have some burning sensation or everything, something. Just some hours later, I just have to take have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the time. Do you want to tackle one more, or should we?
Yeah, one is reserved for
wait.
next week, but I can take one because we talked some time ago now that Al Pacino, he was expecting a child with his girlfriend, who were like 53 years younger than him.
Yeah.
We dedicated an episode for that. I think it's titled something, My 53-Year Younger Girlfriend or something like that. Don't quite remember. Their child is now 6 months old, I think. And Al Pacino is now single as well.
Oh.
So if you're a lady that likes Al Pacino, he's single and maybe soon ready to mingle. And for all the guys out there, his ex-girlfriend at the age of 29 is also now single and a hot single mother. Or kind of hot single mother. Depending on your taste.
Well,
if you want to raise Al Pacino's child, there's your chance.
But that's like from back when I used Tinder, like it was a fucking long time ago. When you see this how can you say it? Newly single mothers with like babies, you're kind of questioning yourself or them, like, what went wrong and how did it go wrong so soon? And would I be...
No, that's not the worst part. I've seen girls on there that are pregnant and are looking for a dude.
Oh yeah, rarely though, but yeah, I can attest to that as well.
I think I've seen a couple of them, and it was like, I'm not looking for a new baby daddy, but and yeah, right.
A few months on the way, looking for a new father figure or something.
Yeah, the ones I've seen does not look for another father for the child because it has an actual father, like who probably will step up, but you don't know, and you will. If you get together with one of these girls, you will eventually end up supporting their child as well.
Yeah.
But you do that even if the child was 12 years old when you started dating. But I think when they're still pregnant, I kind of think no matter what they say and write in their bio, that's probably what they're looking for. It's a helping hand financially and whatnot as well.
Yeah, you'll have to realize it's most likely something along those lines as well, but also kind of a red flag.
Yeah,
it's if you committed so hard or did a major fuck up in a one night stand and got pregnant and then looking for someone else during your pregnancy, that's just red flags all over.
That's a lefty.
Yeah,
immediately. But yes, I think that's a wrap. I didn't have more to say about Pacino, so yeah. Just saw an article today that he was single.
Yep. So
and I remembered we talked about him some time ago. So yep. Now it's been mentioned, and well, next week Junior is back. I think. We think.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
We
yeah.
think.
He should be back. So yeah, and underneath in the description, at least on YouTube, and I think on the podcast, if not in the episode, but in the like general page thingy, there's a link that's called Linktree Tipsy Wednesday without the Y in the end. And if you just click that link, it will take you to a page where there are buttons named Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, support us or whatnot. And if you click on those links, you will be taken to our Facebook page and support link where you can support us for like a buck or something, a one-time payment if you like what we do. And you can follow us on all our social medias through those buttons. So please do that. And yeah, see you next week.
Bye
Bye.
bye.